Alrighty, hello everybody, Alex with you here again, and today I just wanted to have a quick chat about a particular chessboard that I ended up getting about a year and a half ago or so from this wonderful website called the House of Staunton. Now, the House of Staunton is sells you very nice quality chess pieces and chess sets. This has been the website for me to go to as far as looking at different chess pieces. Quality, lots of quality stuff here, guys. One prime example is going to be, as you could see here, this is the Golden Collector Series Luxury Wood chess set, priced at $6,000, and it's already on sale. It was $7,685 initially. Really quite a nice chess set. But as far as the price goes, I would probably never end up spending that much on a chess set, just because even if I had that type of money, I just don't feel it justified the amount of money that you would put into a chess set. Like I said, obviously there are some people that might be able to drop that much money, but either way, the chessboard's really nice. Actually, this particular chessboard's really expensive, and it takes quite a lot of time to make. Each one of these individual pieces here, you can see some videos on YouTube, is actually glued to the other piece, and each one is cut with precise measurements. So like the amount of time it takes to make this particular chessboard is quite a lot, and the amount of time it takes to actually process it and make it glossy and finish it, it's quite a lot of work, you guys. But like I said, once again, this particular set, even though it's kind of lovely, I would probably never spend that much money on it. So about a year and a half ago, I wanted to take a look and try to find myself kind of either a chess set or a combination where I could buy the pieces separately and get a board. And I started looking at some of the examples on the House of Staunton. So as you guys can see here, this particular one priced at $1,695. Very stark. I mean, the board being really dark like this and very glossy, not particularly something that I find aesthetic. Now, like I said, there's going to be other people out there that will, gravitate towards something like this. But in my particular case, I just didn't really care that much for it to be that dark, and I also felt like the pieces would kind of blend in on those dark squares. So moving on, this particular example priced at $1,329. A little bit nicer, but I still don't necessarily like this sort of a glossy finish, even though some people out there might really like that particular look. Um, this one's a little bit lighter, pieces are a little bit different, and then all this engraving, these flower stuff on the side, just wasn't something I was looking for. You could see here is a little bit different. The board is going to be still kind of glossy, and the pieces are very nice and contrasty against the background, so it's a lot better. But then at some point I found this particular chessboard, and I really like this one. This particular chessboard, the pieces not so much, even though some of you might say, wow, these pieces are really nice. As far as just being able to play them in like an everyday type of game against somebody, I felt like they were too elaborate. These are more of a decorative type of chess set here. The knights, you could see, have a lot of detail, and they're quite beautiful, and the pawns are beautiful, the bishops are really nice. But like I said, I feel like this is more of a decorative, like a chess set you would probably set somewhere on a table and, just wipe the dust off of it and just say that this is something you have. As far as like everyday play, I just don't think this is ideal. And so it kind of brought me to this particular one. This one's on sale, $649. This one, same board as the previous one. You guys can see same board, but the pieces are a little bit more modest. You could see that the knights are better. They kind of look better. They're not all that elaborate. The bishops look nice. The pawns, although the pawns do look a little bit slender in the neck here, which they're just kind of drawn out a little bit. And then you could see on the king here, it's a little bit sharp, and I was looking for a little bit more rounded feel to it. But I might sound like I'm a little bit picky, but as far as, if you're going to spend some money on it and you really want to figure out which one you like, which one you don't, and you go through hundreds of different varieties, you kind of start to figure out what you like and what you don't like. So, but anyways, I felt like this was really nice. However, one thing that has drawn my attention, you guys have to pay attention over here, is that the king size is 3.5 inches, so it's not a very tall king. And then the base of the king is 1.7 inches. So it's not a tall king with not a really big base. And then as far as the board that you get with this particular combination, the square size is going to be 1.875 inches, which if you compare that to like a tournament size board, a tournament size board would have a standard size of 2.25 inches, whereas a 1.875 is going to be significantly smaller. If you compare it to this previous one here, you could see that the king here is 4.4 inches and the base of the king is 2. The square size of the board pieces are going to be, the board squares is going to be 2.5. So all in all, this particular board is a 23.75 and this one is 18.75. So you're seeing that there's about a 5-inch difference as far as each way. So that's quite a bit of a difference, and that means that this particular board is a lot larger and just slightly bigger than the tournament size. And it does make the playing experience, in my opinion, a little bit better just because a bigger board, you can see it a little bit better. It's easier for the eye. Things are not as compact as you would have it on the other board. So in my opinion, if I were to try to spend money on a board that would look this nice, I would really try to aim more for a slightly bigger size as far as the board and a little bit taller pieces. As these pieces overall 87 ounces, so these are some like altogether, this is pretty heavy. So I'd say that this particular set is really nice. But like once again, I don't particularly like these decorative style pieces. Whereas these right here is only median set weight is 51 ounces. So in my opinion, these are going to be a lot lighter pieces. Now, interestingly, this particular board, and this is the board that I will be reviewing today, is the Superior Traditional Elm Burl Bird's Eye Maple. It's a mouthful, guys. So this is the name of the actual board. It's 1/2 inch thick. It has a satin finish, so that means it's not really glossy. And it's veneered. So what that means is this part on top here, if you run your hand across it, there's no seams like you would expect with like a wooden board. And even over here, there's like these little lines that make it look like there's seams, but it's all veneered, meaning that they took a veneer, they took a really thin layer of this drawn on material, and they glued it on top of the wood. So I just don't want you guys to, to be able to expect what you're expecting as far as what you expect out of this particular board. So it's not going to be like wood, but it is wood. So, and the board is made in Spain. These sides here are painted on. The black sides are going to be painted on, and the top, it's really nice. It's super smooth. If you have pieces that have billiard cloth on the bottom of them, they move really nicely. It's just a very nice experience. And like I said, if I was going to get this particular board, I would strive to get something that's going to be a little bit bigger, like a 2.25 or a 2.5 diameter of the size of the squares. Now, here's an interesting picture. They claim that this particular board is the same, if we go to the chessboard, the Superior Traditional Elm Burl Bird's Eye Maple. So it's the same exact one. However, if you guys can see this one here, it's going to be a little bit darker. Look at the example, like compare this one to this one. And if you order that board, are you going to get something that looks more orangey, like a little bit lighter? Or are you going to get something that looks a little bit darker, because that makes a difference? Because in my opinion, these black pieces right here stand out on this board a lot more and look nicer than they do on this particular board. Here they kind of blend in, but I feel like it's about what type of lighting was used to take the picture. So that's something that you guys just have to, I guess, trust. So the board is right here, and once again, each picture is a little bit different, because this one looks different from this one. This looks a lot lighter, and this one kind of looks a little bit darker. So I'm not really sure. A board by itself, if you go with the 1.875 inch, which is what we saw on this particular combination, you're going to end up spending $319. And then if you go to the 2.5, you're looking at adding $70 more to that. So that would be what, $389 or so. So that would be the same as this particular board. So the $399 might be the part of the price of that board, and then $1,000 is what you end up paying for these pretty pieces and this really nice elaborate box. So it's a nice board. I ended up getting the same board, but I wasn't prepared to pay $400 for it. Instead, I ended up getting it on Amazon. used, and the person said it was like new condition, absolutely mint. When it arrived, and ended up having a couple of, as you can see right over here, on one corner it was a little bit busted up, on the other corner it was a little bit busted up. And I feel like this is no big deal to me. I didn't complain or anything like that, because it didn't really take away from the overall look of the board. The board's fantastic. It looks really nice overall. But one thing I want you guys to be aware of is that if my best guess is that this board was stored in an upright position. And so because this board is about 10 pounds or so, it's a pretty heavy board. It ended up maybe getting damaged right here at the corners. Maybe like they set it against something, or they pushed the board and it ended up breaking through the paint and kind of pressing against some of that wood and deforming it a little bit at these corners. So just be aware of the fact that the corners might have this sort of a weak spot to them. Maybe, maybe they should have designed these boards to have like some kind of a protector on the corners, so they wouldn't really ever have this issue. But it is what it is. So just be aware of that. If you store it upright or something, or if you end up dropping the board accidentally, you might end up damaging these corners. And it'll end up causing it to look kind of not so nice anymore. I actually thought about taking like a paint or something, just painting it over black. But as far as that, it really, like I said, those little tiny imperfections, in my opinion, they don't take away from the overall feel of the board. It's a really nice, pretty board. So my particular board was about $180 or so. So that's significantly lower than what you would pay for new, but I ended up getting it used. It measures 23.75 inches across, and the squares are 2.5. So I really wanted to get this particular board because at that same time I was looking for pieces, and I found this particular nice set. It was on sale for Christmas last year. It was the 1852 Paulson Series chess set, the Camerata collection. And so if you look into the product details over here, it says that the king is 4.4 inches and the king base is 1.92. It's almost 2 inches. So the recommended chessboard size is going to be 2.5. Overall, pretty heavy, 72.9 ounces is the median set weight. And this particular set is really, really nice. Now, another thing that you guys have to pay attention to is when they tell you that the diameter of the king might be like 2 inches, or it might be 2.1, or it might be 1.8. So some of the sets, the king might be 2 inches, but then the other pieces, the bases, are significantly smaller. And then if you look at some of the other sets, the king is usually the largest base. It is usually the large. That's why they go by the base of the king, to kind of give you a determination about what board you need. But sometimes some chess sets will have the base of the other pieces being pretty close to the base width of the king. And then in some other pieces, they'll tell you, oh, the king is like 2 inches in diameter, the base of it. But then every other piece is like 1.5. It's significantly smaller. So just kind of something that you guys have to take into account. In my next video, I'm going to go ahead and pull out this set. My particular variation is going to be the slightly more expensive variety of this one. Now, the difference between the $295 price tag versus the $700 one is that the $295 has Ebonized Boxwood. So it's boxwood, the same wood that's kind of you see over here, but it's been ebonized, meaning it's been dyed and processed to look black. As opposed to, if you go over here, this is genuine ebony. It's a particular type of wood that's a little bit more rare, and it's a lot more dense, so it's a lot harder to process. And if you read about genuine ebony, it's dark in color, and in order to process it, because it's so dense, it ends up like dulling some of the processing instruments, and maybe that's why it's so just a lot more expensive, is because a lot of people are going to end up choosing this particular variety. But the problem is they do say that if you do that over time, especially if you play a lot, if you're always touching these pieces, they're going to start to fade. The black is going to start to turn more like gray color. And then, so the dye is going to start to wear off over time. And it's not as dense of a wood as ebony. So the research says that over time, you could have some moisture get into the pores of the wood, and then it could cause damage, could cause fungal growth, and then it could sort of destroy the pieces, make them weak over time. If you get something really a lot more dense, a lot heavier type of wood, then you're going to end up basically having less problems with it in the future, or so they say. But just ebony's are a lot more expensive of wood overall. So that's my particular set, is this one, the genuine ebony and antique boxwood, because once again I was kind of going for this sort of antique look. I really like these antique looking pieces like these right here. I didn't want to get the really bright light ones, and I really like this sort of dark look over here, so I wanted to kind of replicate my set to look more like this one without this really expensive board. So I will do a video where I'm going to be reviewing this particular chess set next time. But right over here, just kind of pay attention, guys. If you're looking for a chess set, and if you're looking around, and if you're looking, especially if you're looking for things that are on a sale or something, do look specifically at what is the size of the king as far as the height, what's the base diameter, and then what's the size of the actual board. Because if you end up not really paying attention to these particular details, and you just like, oh great, sale, you end up getting this, you might expect that this one here will look exactly like this one as far as size and everything. But in fact, you'll get something that this particular set, the way that it is, it'll probably fit within it'll fit within this board, and it'll be within these confines right here. It's going to be a lot smaller. So, and it'll make a difference. I just don't want you guys to be disappointed. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking the time to view this video. I know I was a little bit all over the place, but hopefully you found this quick video helpful. And if you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned until the next video, where I'm going to review the chess set, and I'll put it on this particular board, and we can kind of analyze and see if you guys like it. Anyways, okay, everybody, have a good rest of the day, and until next time, bye bye.